What on earth is going on with China's economy? The official statement about China's economy is that it is stable and improving, meaning that everything has been slowly recovering after the pandemic. However, the actual situation is that debts are high. There is no shortage of social funds, but the government, enterprises, and ordinary people generally lack disposable funds. Although there are abundant debts, some people with sufficient capital are neither willing to invest nor dare to consume, but choose to hold cash and wait. They have a clear understanding of the current economic situation. Local governments have long been burdened with heavy local debts and urban investment debts. Enterprises have experienced difficult operations during the 3-year pandemic. Ordinary people have seen a significant reduction in disposable income due to high monthly mortgage and credit card debt payments. From January to April this year, the profits of industrial enterprises nationwide decreased by 20.6% year-on-year. Among them, the profit decline of private enterprises was the largest, reaching 22.5%. In the past 40 years, whenever the economy faced difficulties, the solution often lay in providing loan support to enterprises. However, this year's situation is completely different from the past. The core of the problem is that the people have no consumption ability, and traditional countermeasures have completely failed. If we still advocate solving the problem by stimulating employment or issuing loans, these policies are doomed to be ineffective. We can see the problem from last year's data. In 2023, new loans reached as high as 28 trillion yuan, but the GDP only increased by 7 trillion yuan, indicating that most of the loans did not follow into the consumption field. Whether it is large-scale housing construction or expanding commodity production, it is ultimately difficult to escape the dilemma of product overstock. Without the pandemic, the phenomena of consumers downgrading and reducing expenditures might have emerged a few years later. However, precisely because of the impact of the pandemic, this situation occurred earlier, and the debt crisis also broke out earlier. Past, the problem-solving model was to create jobs by providing loans to enterprises and for local governments to increase infrastructure construction so that laborers could obtain income and thus drive consumption. However, in the current context, the effect of this traditional strategy is still limited. The current key problem is that the built real estate products have no buyers. If production continues to expand, only more unsold houses will be produced. Due to the heavy debt burden of the people and the greatly reduced consumption willingness, if debts cannot be reduced or waived to help the people tide over financial difficulties, the hidden dangers of the economic crisis will be difficult to resolve. Unlike in the past, the problem faced by the economy this time is the lack of new growth points. Looking back at the past 20 years, even during the most difficult economic times in 2008 and 2016, the internet industry still maintained rapid growth. But this time, the situation is complex and full of challenges. The development of the internet industry this year has approached its peak. Lacking new economic growth points, it can only compete in the stock market and price wars are inevitable, and the competition will be extremely fierce. At the individual level, many residents are trapped in debt difficulties, especially mortgage loans, credit card loans, and car loans. After 3 years of the pandemic impact, many people have voluntarily cut their expenditures. The leverage ratio of the household sector is too high. Judging from the surface data, it has reached the 60% warning line. But the actual situation may be more serious because savings are extremely unevenly distributed, and many families have almost no deposit. At present, the problem of the real economy lies not in insufficiency, but in excess. Society does not lack capital. What is truly scarce in consumption ability. The products that have been produced cannot be completely sold, but some people still want to expand production capacity and produce more. The current dilemma is that a large number of goods, such as houses, cars, and industrial products, are unsellable. Not a lack of production capacity. However, many people still believing that the problem is the same as in the past and still focusing on production. Taking the real estate industry as an example, its problem is not that houses cannot be built, but that there are no buyers. Similarly, the price war in the car industry is not due to insufficient production capacity, not due to poor sales. These problems are essentially very simple, but some people pretend not to understand. The essence of buying a house is very similar to futures trading, especially in the context of the possible spread of the unemployment wave. The hardest hit areas of this unemployment wave are mainly concentrated in real estate enterprises, some information technology industries, and foreign trade companies. The spread of unemployment and economic difficulties does not happen overnight, but takes a certain amount of time to gradually expand. Most industries are affected by the upstream and the downstream industrial chains and terminal demand. If terminal consumption ability weakens, upstream enterprises will sooner or later fall into layoffs and bankruptcy. The emergence of the domino effect also takes time, whether it is the decline in consumption ability, the vision of the people, the surge in local debts, the difficulty in enterprise sales, or the sluggish real estate market. The fundamental reason lies in the excessively rapid rise in housing prices, which has far exceeded the affordability of ordinary people. During the real estate boom, many people bought houses through loans. When local governments had abundant land revenues, they were overly optimistic and expanded blindly, gradually abandoning the traditional Chinese saving habit. Enterprises benefited from the prosperity of the real estate market and drove related products. The whole society was once full of good expectations for the future.